Hey, this is Ian Crimsix Porter.
Hey, this is James Clayster Eubanks, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 203 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, January 8th, 2020. The time, 7:37 p.m. And this is definitely going to be the best episode ever. Why, you ask? Got big guests today, folks. Clayster and Crimsix of now Dallas Empire, formerly E United and Optic Gaming, former Call of Duty World Champions, the both of them. We had a extended sit-down interview with them the other day that we recorded, so we'll play that for you later. Of course, we have e-news. Lots to get to there. And, hey, CSGO is back and the qualifiers are here. Did you know that? Bet you didn't, because they weren't being streamed day one, and we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, hello, my name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj.
What a show do we have for you guys today? Man, this is an exciting one. I'm very excited for you guys to hear this interview, and it was definitely an honor to get to interview these two guys.
Go ahead and follow us on our social media at The Center Ring. Our website, tcr.gg's got all the other links to our Discord, our YouTube, any listening outlet, iTunes. If you're listening there, go ahead and leave a review for us. That helps. And yeah, you know the rest. Let's get into today's show, because we kind of joked about it last week. This interview has been in the works with Clayster and Crimsix for a long, long time. But man, it was a great interview.
It was a lot of fun. From just their candidness, I think, with us, and I think also getting them together, Tim. That was a really cool experience, at least for me. I know you've done several interviews just through, your job on radio and had to, been in this situation before. But I don't think I really had two high-profile players at the same time, and it was fun because we got to see them bounce some of their thoughts off of one another, rile each other up a little bit throughout the interview. And so, man, yeah, it truly was like a unique experience. And I hope everyone enjoys it.
Let's get into some of these CSGO qualifiers, though, because I'm not going to lie, and this happens every January. It sneaks up on you. Does it not?
No, it does. It does come up quick. And it's needed, I think, because of the break that we have here. I like that we jump right into meaningful CS, and it's not just some one-off tournament.
Yeah,
that
it's not like
have
a little
lot of meaning.
puddle jumper
Yes.
of a tournament.
Like all of these tournaments mean a lot, and so to get a play in Katowice, it's obviously a historic venue and a historic place to play. So you're going to see the best teams competing for these spots. There's already a handful of teams that are in the event that already have their spot slotted in for them, and we'll get into them here in a moment. But right now we have the qualifiers going on for Asia, Europe, North America, and Oceania for the final few spots.
Yeah, and now so for day one, this was very controversial. Not even really controversial, because there was no one arguing about what should have happened, but
it was just a stupid decision.
It really made no sense. For whatever reason, ESL opted to not stream the start of the qualifiers, and their plan all along was just to not stream any of them.
Yeah, and which makes no sense, because first of all, if you saw the buildup throughout, and I live my life through the Twitter world, right? Like that's where I kind of judge reactions, and
of
whether
course
it's fan reaction or
maybe not the
player
best
reaction.
because it's all very knee jerk, but hey,
it's still a small percentage of the overall
2020.
player base. But hey, they're the vocal minority, so I'll take it. But there was so much buildup this week for a lot of these matchups, like people waiting to see OG play, right? Like you're really curious about the OG roster. Obviously, you have the new Complexity roster, you have the new Cloud9 roster. Like there's a lot of high profile teams playing in not just the closed qualifier, Tim. I mean, we had North just get eliminated from the open qualifier today and not even make it to the closed qualifier. So there's kind of meaningful CS that was unfortunately not available for people to watch on day one. And they hurt us because they made a change pretty quick. Starting today, everything is being streamed live. You have the ability to stream it along with them if you have permission to do so. And so they definitely heard the voices out there, Tim.
Yeah, so now you have some of the matches going on right now. Cloud9 is playing Complexity. They are in the map 3. This is the first time we get to see ATK as Cloud9. Which, you know what? Now that the dust is settled, all right, I want to kind of reassess this Cloud9 roster because they're not looking awful. They're currently up 6-2 on Complexity, map 3. So if they win this, they move on to the next round in the winner bracket. I don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction here, Nooch. They might be my favorite right now to take it all. They are looking so fresh. I said last week, Cloud9, the org, big dick org, needs to make big dick moves. This was clearly one of them.
Yeah, it's way too early to tell.
Is
Not
it?
jumping on
Is it?
that bandwagon yet. I don't think they make it out of the matchup they have right now with Complexity. We'll see if they do, but yeah, I'm not sold on this lineup yet. I think they have the chance to, like I said they could be good. I just don't think they'll be great. So can they make it out of a closed qualifier? Well, I hope they have a chance to do that, right? Like that's a
So
pretty
here's
low bar we're setting here.
I was going to say, the funny thing with this closed qualifier is, like, you look at some of the teams that are in it right now. Complexity, Cloud9, Ints, Gen G, MIBR. They actually just eliminated Chaos, esports club. The other, I think that was just yesterday when they eliminated them. Earlier today. Jeez, these things last so long, it makes you forget where's what. But the one thing about it is, like, none of these rosters are really set, right? Like, you look at teams like Complexity, that's a relatively new roster that they put together. Gen G, obviously kind of pieced together from old Cloud9 guys and people throughout. That's also a brand new roster. MIBR, they've been shuffling people in and out here and there. Same thing with Ints. So, albeit, you know, people can poke fun with Cloud9 signing a new roster, but at least that those 5 guys have been together. It's just not been on Cloud9, right? So it's a little deceptive to be like, oh, wow, Cloud9's winning. Like, this is great. Well, they're like the only established team playing right now in these open qualifiers for NA.
Yeah, I mean, most of these teams, like you said, are playing in their first real competitive matchup, right? Like these guys are carrying over. And so, again, we would expect to see them. I would expect to, again, see them play well. There should be continuity. They're not playing the best of the best, right? They played Riot Squad in the first round. They beat Ints, which is not a bad win. You know, that's a good win. But again, I think that's a win we expect them to have. Complexity to me is the first real test, right? But Complexity is, again, still trying to figure out who they are in this game right now. So would it be a major upset? No, but I do think that this would be a meaningful win, at least out of the group so far. And then they still have to go through the championship bracket, and you know, we'll kind of see how that fares. They might have to play Complexity again at some point. And then also go through most likely MIBR. So
explain to the listeners how this works, because I definitely understand it. These qualifiers are so easy for me to look and understand. Are closed qualifiers the last chance qualifier?
Yeah, like this determines who gets, like, there's 3 EU spots on the board, 1 NA spot available, 1 Asia spot available, and 1 Oceania spot available.
All right, so it is like whoever wins this open, or I'm sorry, closed.
Whoever wins this closed will be the NA representative.
Okay.
So you're only going to have 1 out of Complexity, Cloud9, MIBR, and ENTS, the remaining 4. Only one of these teams will represent them.
I mean, we thought it was weird not seeing Cloud9 in a major, but to not see MIBR, to not see Fallen in a major, Has that ever happened when he's been fallen, right? Like being the guy that we know?
Yeah, I mean, wait, so Katowice is not the major though.
I'm sorry, not the major, but
Like this is a major tournament
yeah,
in
yeah,
our
yeah.
eyes, but it's not like a major. So it's not that they, you know, it would be odd not to see them at this big of an event though. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
you're talking about the way that IEM and ESL are pushing the Grand Slam and making this like a true event. It does take.
See, that was my Freudian slip of just saying how little these majors even matter anymore.
This is like it is a championship,
Right.
right? Like the Masters, the Tour Masters Championship is now like a very meaningful tournament. I think Katowice already stood above the rest. Now you're starting to like bump up prize pools. You're going to be playing obviously against the best of the best. They're making it like a tour type event. So to not see MIBR there, yes, it would be odd, shocking. Not really. They've played like garbage for quite some time now. They keep reshuffling the fifth. So would I be like surprised in any way? No. Like I think Complexity has a better lineup than they do right now from just the limited amount of time I've even seen Complexity play. I think Cloud9 would give them fits, you know? So I don't think this is a lock for MIBR to go through it all. And um, I think we're going to see a good little test coming up here in the championship bracket for NA. The EU side has not kicked off yet for the closed qualifier. We've only done the open qualifier for them, as we mentioned earlier. North was the last team. North, is that what it is now?
North, I think is what they're saying.
North is now the last team eliminated with Mad Lions.
We'll talk about that
taking home.
rebranding on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more. So the EU side, as I mentioned a moment ago, will have 3 teams going through.
Nanuj,
So
you are the CSGO expert on the show. 30 seconds on Mad Lions. Go.
they beat North today to qualify for the closed championship to get into IEM. Katowice.
You got like 15 seconds.
2020.
Unbelievable. You did it.
I did
You
it.
are the CSGO genius.
I know they got 5 players, man, and these guys step up.
It's going to be
And
interesting to see. It's
they
going to
most
be
likely
interesting
got
to
a
see what
coach.
happens.
Yeah, and so the exciting lineup, and they're crazy. Some mad lads, man. They're crazy.
Yeah, the EU sides to these things are always so much like with NA, right? They only get 1 slot. And that also means though it's such a tighter race, right? With EU, there's so much more room for upset like this.
But time out. Like, I don't think EU deserves 3 slots necessarily. Just looking at
Don't tell
who's
EU
remaining.
that. Don't
But
tell
look at
EU.
who-
I
Look
agree.
at the closed qualifier. Let's go through this real quick. We'll just kind of run through the teams that are here in the closed qualifier. We have G2 and AGO. We have Heroic going against Mad Lions. ENCE versus Illuminar. And FaZe versus someone. Arky.
RC?
RC.
Hey,
So,
Neo and Taz are on that team.
nice. There we go. Like, that's fantastic. So I do think that there's obviously better competition, right? With
and this
FaZe,
is why,
ENCE,
right?
Heroic,
Because
and
EU is
G2.
top heavy. And that's why you can argue, and that's why they do argue that EU should get more slots, because without it, you're having a lot more of the top teams not be there. The issue is EU definitely also gets to play through a lot more spare teams to get to the top.
Okay, but at the same time, Furia is ranked top 15, MIBR is ranked top 15, both of whom are ahead of Heroic. We have Complexity, I think, who we all see as a top 15 team. Like, it's not going to be surprising to anybody, I guess, if they are. I don't think, at least. So, it's not like the NA side was incredibly weak either. I think there's a couple of teams that kind of stand out, right? Having FaZe as the number 8 team and number 12 team, and then G2 I think is top 15 also, right? Yeah, they're 11. So they do have 3 teams that are even ENCE is 12. But
I think that's going to be a stigma though. Like, it's going to be a long time if it's ever broken.
I was surprised that it wasn't like a 2-2. I think a 2-2 split in this case would have been equally as fair.
I mean, I agree, but we're NA, right? So instantly,
Yeah.
what are people going to say? Is we're just being NA homers, right? We're being bitter about EU having more slots, even though on paper it doesn't make sense why they would. But
I just don't think it's that much better to justify a 3-to-1 ratio. I get it better. They have higher ranked teams.
yeah.
Not a huge difference in
And this is not
talent,
the
in
only
my
tournament that
experience.
happens, though. I think actually most ESL tournaments do that.
Yeah, I mean, most tournaments have generally more EU slots, except for like majors, right?
Right.
So, and hey, see how that turns out this year.
So we will
So
know.
yeah, the
Oh, go ahead.
EU qualifier is kicking off here soon.
Yeah.
The only other one of importance, Oceania is starting off soon as well. It hasn't kicked off
Sir,
either.
the Asian qualifier, please
The Asian
respect
qualifier,
respect
is-
Tyloo.
Tyloo or Bren will be facing VC, and so the winner of that will take the one slot available for the Asia qualifier.
And then yeah, so we'll know. I think North America will be over by the end of tomorrow, so we'll know who is going to Katowice for NA side. So again, not the major. I think I said the major earlier, but it's in my eyes just as important. So it's a
Yeah,
good
big-
way to
big
kick off
tournament,
2020 CS.
for sure.
When is Katowice too?
Katowice is February 25th through March 1st.
Okay, so it's coming up.
It is, and just a reminder, these are the guys. These are the qualifier teams. Okay, so these are some top tier teams we're talking about here that are trying to take some of these last spots. Let's not forget, we have what 10 teams, I believe, already locked in for this. You have the number 1 through 7 teams in the world locked in for this event, including Navi, including NIP, including Avangar, aka now Virtus Pro, which is cool to see VP back in the big stage. I am going to enjoy seeing those flags fly again. So we have a stacked tournament coming up at the end of March, and the teams that are filling in are not going to be pushovers. So we're going to get a great 16-team tournament coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean it is going to be almost like your prep for the major in May.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. A lot of these teams that we see here are the teams you're going to see competing in Rio in not too long.
Without further ado, let me introduce this interview. Let me just kind of tell you again, it's been in the works for a long time. It is really great. It's really awesome. Let's introduce the boys and hope you enjoy. Our next 2 guests on the center ring. It is a big one, folks. In fact, between Anuj, myself, and them, we have 47 Call of Duty championships under our belt. Please welcome to the podcast, to the center ring, Clayster and Crimsix. What is up, gentlemen?
How's it going, guys?
Dude,
Glad to be here.
it is a thrill to have both of you on. So first off, thank you for taking the time out of your crazy schedule to do this.
Probably starting to ramp up for you guys here with the season coming to a start.
Yeah, we got been playing a lot, 2 to 3 scrims per day since we've been back from the winter break, so it's been pretty busy.
I appreciate you having us on, guys. Hopefully this is a little bit of fun.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's we've had a lot of guests on the show, but I'm not gonna lie, Anuj, I'm a little nervous on this one because you guys are, I mean, oddly,
Individually, it would have been, it still would have been good for us. Together, I don't know how we top this. I really don't.
it's insane. It's insane. You guys are some of the esports OGs, like really from when you've dated back and to the MLG days to now. I mean, there's very few esports pros, right? Professional gamers that can say they've been around for as long as you guys. Does that settle in for you at all? Like, do you ever just kind of look in the mirror and say, what the hell happened? Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, pretty much all the time. I think I think I speak for both of us a little bit when I say that coming back from, even back to 2009 to today, I mean, Call of Duty just as a whole, us as a whole, our careers as a whole, I mean, it's still pretty surreal to me. I mean, we've been living it a while, so it kind of becomes the norm after a while, but it's a dream come true for me at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always asked like the question in chat, or Twitch chats, YouTube comments, whatever, like, how do you get noticed? How do you go pro? And I think that, me and Clay, we've been doing this since it was like a hobby. So I think that, we're not the people to ask that question towards, but it's crazy to me thinking like, we were there since the beginning.
Yeah, we get listeners asking us that all the time. Like, Anuj and I have any like flipping clue on how to go pro or anything like that, though. Was semi-pro in Rainbow Six Vegas. So
There it is. He
I
had,
will
had to get
remind
that in. He
everyone
had to get
that-
it in.
I
Hey,
had
played
that
Most-
in
extra
Vegas.
points.
It's a fun game, man.
Most Vegas players do. They have to make sure.
Look, we didn't.
I've known
have
a couple
much
of them.
Crims.
They're all the same. They always want to brag about, Rainbow Six this and that. And I mean, Clay, you remember like the Vegases, right? Those are the fun ones to me, at least. I haven't played this new one at all, but
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Oh, go ahead.
It's just not the same. Vegas
Yes.
was the golden years for Rainbow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the
What-
first
what
Xbox
about-
Live game I ever played was Rainbow Six 3. Like the first Rainbow Six on the Xbox.
Oh, I remember that
Or even
game.
Halo 2. It was the first Xbox Live game I ever played. I remember that. Dude, Rainbow still holds a special place in my heart.
It's great. Speaking
We're
of,
about,
I'll
we're
go
about
off
200
topic.
episodes in, and Tim has mentioned Rainbow at least 50 out of the 200 episodes. Was
Just,
Hey,
you know,
25%'s good odds. There
Yeah,
you
it
go.
you know,
You're holding back.
I have to remind people my credentials at all. I don't even know what I was saying. I got too busy talking about myself. I'll fast forward. I really do. Like that's what happened. I just think of my semi-pro career in Rainbow, and it's too much. If you guys want to ask me any questions, feel free. Have you guys adjusted to Dallas? I know, Clay, you're from Austin. That's like 3-4 hours down 35. Crims, I mean, you've been in the Metroplex quite often, just given the fact with Optic being in Frisco, but you guys kind of settled down?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm actually trying to buy a house here soon, closer to the studio, because we're going to be practicing there quite frequently. I don't know if it's every day a week or what the plan is, but I definitely want to be a little bit closer there because I'm like 40 minutes away. So, but Clay just moved.
Yeah, it's for me at least. I mean, Hastro and Envy and Dallas Empire as a whole are building us some really awesome facilities to work out of, and kind of have the whole support staff and ecosystem behind a competitive esports team, which Call of Duty really hasn't seen properly done yet. And so this year, I mean, we had to be located, near it, or at least that was a big thing for me. Is when I was moving up here, I was trying to find a place where the commute wouldn't kill me. Dallas is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, I've been here a bunch for events, and I've never really had time to, get out properly. Obviously, been to Deep Ellum and stuff before, but as a whole, I mean, it was a lot smoother moving up here than my move from like Northern Virginia to Austin. So I was happy about that, and it's been about a month now, and everything's going pretty good, man. I'm enjoying my time here in Dallas so far.
Now, how are the new Envy headquarters? I mean, we've seen a lot of tweets and snaps and some pictures here and there, but is it as awesome as it's sounding like it's going to be?
The plan, the final product will be awesome, and I mean we're getting there. It was a matter of gutting out these old office spaces that were in there and kind of repurposing it for an esports organization. So in all the different facets, like Envy is such a big organization comparatively to the teams that I've been on in the past, at least structure wise. So there's just so many more people working there and employees, and every team that they have has its own little space with its own little part of the office. So it's honestly the vision for the final product is going to look really, really cool, and location's awesome.
Did you guys ever get
Location
it?
is awesome.
I mean, I guess they're still using the old one, right? Like you see what the old one looked like.
Yeah, but the other one was about an eighth of the size.
Right.
Yeah, they went from having just like one. They actually just moved up a floor.
Yeah.
And they had like it actually was like an eighth of the size, and now we have the entire floor.
Yeah,
so,
you guys. We've been to the old one quite a bit, and I don't think you guys will ever get a chance though to scrim, because those computers are set up right by the windows. And for those our listeners who don't know, it's right by the stadium, like where the Mavericks play. And I talked to the Counter-Strike team, and they were like, "Dude, we are in like qualifying tournaments for the majors, and the Dallas drum line is just going ham outside the window." And they're like, "We can't hear shit."
Yeah, I heard a lot of the staff members were like, "Yeah, the CS team plays here. They're pretty loud." I was like, "Oh, if you think the CS team is loud, like we need to be closed in, doors shut, windows down. Like you need to seclude us away from everyone else, because if they think the Counter-Strike team is loud, then
they're
in for something."
Yeah, I made sure I told Straw, I was like, the walls are gonna go all the way to the top, right? Because I mean, I used to live in the EG house back when and it was like the EG Dota house pretty much. And Like I saw where I was gonna play, and they were like having me in the open room. I was like, I think I was there for like a couple days before, and man, they game in like silence, and they play like 12 hours a day, and yeah, they're like sitting right next to each other. They're in a game like playing with each other, but they're not even talking to each other. So I was like, dude, they are going to hate me if I'm playing next to them. So they actually threw me in like a side room with another like manager, and I think I shared a bedroom with someone, but I was making sure that the COD. It's I wouldn't even say COD. I would say more of like the console players are a little bit more vocal than PC players, especially when you're playing.
100%.
These poor Dota players are just looking to the right, seeing Crim screaming, wagging his hand, like they're probably, what is this guy's problem?
Yeah. So
you are true though. We always joke about it too. Like console players, it's like if you have to rank them, I would honestly say COD players are number 2. Because Gears of War players,
Gears,
Gears,
yes.
Gears is crazy.
Yeah.
Gears players scare me.
Yeah.
Like if I ever play that professionally, I'd probably just let the other team win because I'm like, you know what, not worth it.
Yeah, I talk shit, but I'm not talking shit to any of those Gears players.
We'll back it up.
I'm
right?
sitting down and playing whatever game we're playing, and that's it.
I'll stick with my COD. Thank you very much. And now, so speaking of other games, now Clay, I want you to be honest, but if it's too personal, you don't have to get into it on the show. All right. But when
oh gosh,
when you were approached to join Dallas Empire, and maybe you don't even know, right? Maybe it felt so natural. But there was one time you and I have actually played together before. It was Battalion 1944. The scenario was 3v1. I was the one. You were dead. You were on my team. You guys said, if you clutch this, you get a signed Clayster jersey. Never got the jersey. That's okay. Friends forgive. That's what they do. I clutched it, though. 3v1. It was a memorable moment. I have it recorded. The friendship that blossomed from that moment, did it have any weight into you signing with Dallas, knowing that I was also in Dallas?
Yes, it did. 100%. Yep. It was actually the biggest influencing factor out of all of them.
I
tell
our
I felt
listeners
so bad
that
about
all
not
the
getting
time.
you the jersey. I just had to like make it up to you somehow.
That we'll get
This will
jerseys.
do. We'll take this.
We'll get a jersey later on. When I
got you on the jersey too,
yeah,
for sure.
When I come see the new offices, when I text Mike guilt tripping him into inviting us to the office, I'll pick up a Clayster jersey. No.
Honestly, I hope I was at least tolerable enough, because when you get me on other games, I get real toxic. Like any of the other games I play, it's just like full toxicity in any matchmaking. So I hope it's at least a fun one.
I remember
that
it
was a highlight
fun,
for sure.
but I'm probably not any better, especially on a game in early access beta. Like that's the Wild West to me. Like, bro, this is early
Anything
access.
goes.
These bans don't matter. What are you talking about? Say whatever I want. Speaking though of like staying on the topic of signing with Empire, and I'm just kind of curious because the only example for like a true like normal esports scene switching over to franchise that I can really think of in this format was Overwatch, right? And when Overwatch League started, it wasn't uncommon to see teams like Envy, right? They just signed the entire roster to the Dallas Fuel, or Cloud9 signed, entire rosters to London Spitfire. It wasn't that case for CDL, or at least it definitely didn't seem like that. I'll start with Clay and then we can move on to you, Crims, or you can both just kind of, shoot off each other if you want. But was there ever any discussion of keeping the teams together or keeping the gangs together? Because like with you, Crim, or with you, Clay, like you guys had a historic 2019 year, winning finals and then worlds, and then to split up so soon after. I mean, was that always part of the plan, or is that not how Call of Duty works?
I think there's a couple different perspectives you can look at it from, and the one that I've kind of taken a hold of and kind of see it through my lens is that it wasn't the plan. I mean, the plan was for E United to make it into franchising and us play for E United, because we were all signed into the next year regardless. Like we had negotiated multi-year contracts before the 2019 season, and that was the plan. So when that fell through, it became like we didn't really realize that United wasn't getting a spot until about a month or two, maybe like 6-7 weeks before the roster is unlocked and all the franchises could sign people. So when we found out United wasn't making it, we all talked, and at least from my perspective, it's one of the things where a lot of these players that I was playing with, like, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time and I've, won championships on different teams and I've played for Optic and FaZe and whatever. A lot of the players that were on my team had never really had that opportunity to play with who they thought was the best in the game or to be on the organization that they thought was the best for them. And like, I totally get that move. Like, it's you progress up the ladder when you can. And once it became a situation where they realized, hey, we can kind of step up from where we're at now, and form the teams that we want because of how good a run we had, everybody was a hot commodity. I mean, the fact that I even got on Empire, like, this is a really good team, and us ending the year the way we did influenced that a lot. So the rest of the squad, kind of just made that decision, and we're like, I want to play with this guy. Arcides wanted to play with his roommate, and BZ and Simp wanted to play with the friends that they played with back in Black Ops 3, and then it was kind of just me and Preston left, and at that point it was just easier to split ways. So it's one of the things where, like, hey, you make business decisions, and it's a great way to cap off a great story that was kind of like a 3-year-long journey for all of us, and to end out on top. Like, not a lot of teams get to say they do that, like to end on a world championship and call it a day and say, hey, we came what we came to accomplish, and now it's time to separate. So kind of poetic in a way.
Was that kind of the same with you?
With me, it was a little bit different.
Was it now?
I haven't heard.
Yeah, no, I mean, pretty much what I thought the plan was to stick together, and just deal with the bullshit. But honestly, if you ask me, and the whole plan was just to be like, okay, we're going with Hector and doing that thing. And then the two kids left, which if you ask me, honestly, now I'm like, hindsight is 2020. I think the only thing that was keeping us together was the fact that, like, there's a giant fan base, there's Optic and all that stuff. And I think, honestly, looking back at World War II, that was the only thing keeping me on the team too, because, we had a really rough start on World War II. I felt like that was like the one game where I was like, finally, this is, after playing jetpacks for 3 years, I'm like, finally, we're back on boots. Like, I'm frying. Like, this is my game with our team to, like, take over, but it just didn't work out. But in Black Ops 4, our team was in shambles, man. Like, after Miami, especially, like, no one listened to anyone. Everyone was just playing for themselves. And I mean, like, at the end of the day, we could have won champs, but the fact that we got third is still, like, somewhat, in my eyes, somewhat good, especially after getting, top 24 the year before. But yeah, I mean, you guys know how it all went down, but realistically, just a whole bunch of people lying their asses off. And it's the same thing with Clay, is we could have went to a whole bunch of different teams, and we could have gotten paid more. We could have, been the superstar of that team, specifically. But I don't know. For me personally, I was like I want to get, like, revenge on these guys. I want to come back, stronger than ever. And Dallas Empire, like, I knew the roster. It was just a team of 3 at the time, and they wanted to play with me and Clay. And pretty much this was, like, the only team in my eyes that I could see, like, winning tournaments, being a top contender. I just wanted to build basically the best possible team after that whole situation. And a lot of teams are actually already formed. So it was a really difficult spot, but then this opportunity arose, and, we just went for it.
What made this team feel like the right team? Obviously you and Clay being the veteran players here, bringing in a bulk of the experience. And then you have 3 young guns. Obviously Hook has some experience here recently, but still relatively new. What made this feel like the right team?
I guess for me, like he said, we kind of had our pick of the litter. Like, we could have went to a lot of these teams and been the first piece and got paid, a third of the salary cap and built a team on our own. But like him, at least from me, I'm trying to win. Like if I'm still competing, I'm the oldest pro right now at 27, going on 28, and I don't know much longer I'm going to do it. So I'd rather win while I can because I'm not really worried so much about the money because I feel like I'll be okay getting a job afterwards and all that. So I'm just trying to win championships, and that was my goal, finding a team. And the three of Hook, Illy, and Shotzi approached me, and this is kind of literally a couple days before all the stuff with Optic and Crim happened. So the timing actually ended up working out perfect for all of us because I was about to sign with somebody because I couldn't find a better option. Those three approached me and said, hey, we want you as our fourth. You kind of pick our fifth. And by the time I had decided, I was like, I want to go with these guys. They're hungry to win. It's got a lot of good gun skill, and I think Shotzi is going to be a future superstar in Call of Duty. Same with Illy. And it's like, this one feels right. Like we can get any fifth we want. And then I decided, and then the next day, Hastro talked to us, and he's like, what about Crimsix? And Crim was like, oh yeah, I already talked to Hastro. Like, we're making this happen.
Like, yeah, that's okay, fifth.
It's a pretty good fifth.
I guess we'll fill it in. We'll make it work.
Yeah, for sure. And so, it's just the right mixture, and the roles work out correctly, which on my last United team, I ran into a lot of role issues with Arcides because we were both technically main assault rifle players, and there's usually only ever one main one. So there's definitely some role issues and kind of headspace, mental issues that we were having. And this team seemed like the one that would have, be the most together. And we've proved it so far. I mean, like we haven't been late to practice one day, and we all get on and we're really about getting better every day instead of going through the motions. And that's just what I love to see because that's something that's really hard to teach. And so to already have that going into the beginning of the season, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit interesting. I've probably been the most late out of anyone on the team. I mean, not by much, probably maybe like under 5 minutes every day, but I am not used to it. I was not used to it because I went through about 2 years where there would consistently be someone that would be like 45 minutes late. And like not just late.
Wasn't Optic always the one getting called out for being late to scrims?
Oh yeah, and I'm like, dude, when teams would be like, you know what, we're not going to scrim you guys because you guys are late. I'd be like, if I was in your shoes, I would do the exact same thing because this is unacceptable. Pretty much, I'd get on every day at the scheduled time, and I would say, I would look at the team speak, mumble, whatever it was, and I'd be like, "How's it going, Tyler? Good to see you." And we're like, we're supposed to scrim right now, right? And he's like, "Yep." I'm in their lobby, and I would join, and I'd have to sit in the lobby, and then we'd have to BS to them, the other team, saying, "Oh, they're on their way. They're coming. They're coming." But we'd constantly have to do that. And I think work ethic, like for me at least, I think, everyone being there and wanting to get better, wanting to improve, wanting to show up on time and actually put in the effort on practice. Because at the end of the day, if someone's not showing up on time, I'm automatically thinking they're not taking it seriously. And for me, that makes a world of difference because now I don't have to focus on, making sure someone shows up on time, making sure they're taking it seriously. Like now I can just focus on myself and, my actual gameplay. And if everyone on the team does that, then that's the best possible way to get better or to be in a situation to improve.
So you guys brought up then, just on the topic of, work mentality and being on time. I love that you guys have a list ongoing of totaling times of teams being late to practice and scrims and schedules. Is that actually being kept up with?
Oh yeah, I said to our team, I go, if we're gonna not be put on this list one time and if we do that at the end of the year, we're winning champs. And so that's our goal this whole year is not get put on that list one time. We're still at 0 minutes late, so we're keeping it going so far.
That's awesome.
That is great. I just
the little things.
You're right though. It's funny for everyone on Twitter and on the subreddit, right? It's funny to see, but you're absolutely right. When it comes to not worrying about the little things, this isn't GBs anymore, right? It's kind of the big leagues. You can't just be late. You can't dispute every single loss.
We're getting paid 6 figures to play. Show up on time, please. That's the least you can do.
Now, I wanted to go back in time for a little bit here. Clayster, 2014, you won the X Games, the MLG X Games Invitational. Now, we're all around the same age, except for Anuj. He's old as fuck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
like X Games for me was like always a big deal, right? Skateboarding and snowboarding and all that. Like all of it was a very big deal. And I would have never once thought playing video games could earn me an X Games medal. But here you are with an X Games medal. We've talked about on the show where I remember back then and even like recently, Counter-Strike has had a few tournaments at X Games, and now they're talking about esports going to the Olympics, and it gets a lot of shit from people, somewhat understandably so, because athletes and sweat and all that. Did you ever get shit for winning back in 2014?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had a couple, like, so we had full access to like the athletes lounge and all that stuff when we were at the X Games. They treated us awesome. And it was honestly, I grew up skating and I watched the X Games every year, and so it was a huge deal for me. And I'm not gonna name names, but some high profile skateboarders who I kind of looked up to would like start talking to me, and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, playing Call of Duty," and they'd just be like, "Oh," and just like walk away. And like yeah, but this is early 2010, so like esports wasn't as widely accepted as it is now, and they were just kind of felt like we were infringing on their territory a bit, which is a whole other topic that it comes down to how you define a sport. But hey, at the end of the day, I'm looking at it here. It's still got the gold medal in my room hanging up, so hey, I'll treasure that. Because it's like when 10, 20 years down the road, you tell somebody like, here's a Call of Duty championship ring, they'll be like, oh, like that's cool. But you'd be like, hey, I got an X Games gold medal. It's like, oh shit, what? Like, how did you get that? And then you just lie. You're like, oh, it used to be a pro motocross player or motocross guy. Like, but no, it's cool, man. And it was awesome to be there. And Porter, you got 2, right? You got a gold and a bronze, right?
Yeah, I got both.
I got both.
I got both.
How do you feel about it being in, if it were to be an Olympic event, or how do you feel about esports kind of joining that realm, or do you think they should kind of tail off and do something on their own similar to the Olympics?
I think at the Olympics is a lot different than the X Games, because here's the thing: at the X Games, those guys are risking their lives to get this medal that we're twiddling our thumbs for. And that's why they probably looked at Clay and did their response was like that because of that. At the end of the day, it was kind of insane to me that we'd end up with the same medal that they would be getting as well. So, but the Olympics is something completely different, because most of it is just traditional sports where they're not putting their life on the line to succeed. So, yeah, in that regard, I don't know, maybe it's not a good take, but I would say, esports eventually makes it to the Olympics. Probably not, but I think it should be there. But X Games is a completely different story. I think that, if we're going to be there, the prize is going to be a little bit different than what, they're going off giant jumps, going 125 feet in the air with nothing but a skateboard like that versus us, trying to clutch a 1v1 in S&D. It's a little bit different. So,
and I feel the same exact way. Like the X Games and stuff, I understood why they felt bad, but I also think that falls a lot on like the promoters, right? Like if they just
it wasn't our fault. It was, it wasn't our fault. It wasn't Call of Duty's. It was just like what Clay said, his situation. Like I had another situation like that too. That's why I'm like, the medal and the tournament is dope, but at the end of the day, it was weird being there. Like I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah,
being around those.
Sure. I specifically didn't go into the players' lounge a lot, and we had super cool access to all the ramps and tricks and stuff. We could walk pretty much up to the front. So I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna be in the Austin Heat and just watch all these stuff that I enjoy and try and not use that, because dude, the X stands for extreme. Right. We're playing COD. That's not that extreme. What are we gonna do? Get arthritis in 10 years? So honestly, like you said, it was just, I see what they were trying to do, and it's nobody's fault except for whoever booked it there, but
like I said, if you get invited and you have an opportunity to get them, why the hell not? Exactly.
You're gonna do it. I feel like that was a weird time for esports too, because like you said, Clay, I see why they did it, because that was at a time where there was the whole meme of the MLG, no scope, Mountain Dew, Dorito, 420, all that, right? It all came from that kind of time period where they just lumped any extreme person. Like if you wore skateboarding shoes, then clearly you all liked the same thing and were into the same thing. So
Yeah, it was still
esports-
trying to find what like its little like area, and especially Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is so mainstream. They were just trying to force it in any mainstream thing they can possibly do it with because it's so popular. So it's I mean, it's kind of still trying to find where it sits and all this. So it's interesting to see how like we were talking about back in the day and even X Games to now. It's like we're still trying new stuff to see what works best.
do you guys find that having a new game hurts that? Like every year, like COD literally is different every year, whereas opposed to say Counter-Strike, right? Like you've had 1.6 and Source and now Go, but for the most part, it's Counter-Strike. You know, do you kind of wish, like, do you ever see a time in COD where it's like all the pros like this one, and we're just gonna stick with this one with the league?
I don't think we've ever had a game where all the pros like it. Everyone is super biased with, what we're
Right.
playing. Like
Whatever game you're best at is the game you love the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who
It doesn't
won
matter if
champs
the game's
that
a
year?
good competitive
That
game
was
or
their
not,
favorite.
and that's something. Yeah, Crim, you take this one because I got strong opinions about it.
yeah, but I mean, like all the ruling and all the little gentlemen's agreements that we do, like they're all formed off of bias and all that stuff. But if you were to ask me, like if we were to just stay on a game for like 3 years or so, you would see a lot of people probably quitting. I think that every year is a good sort of refresh for the players, and I think that's maybe how in Call of Duty it's funny because the game changes every year, but if you ask me, that's probably why there's been players who have been competing for like 10 plus years. If there was like a game per 3 years, then you would probably see a lot of people quitting after they realize like, hey, I'm not so good at this game. I got to play this for another 2.5 years. Like, what am I doing? There's a lot of people now that are like, okay, I'm kind of average at this game. I'm going to stick it out for 9 months or so. It's a little bit different there. But if you ask me, it would probably be better for COD. Most definitely if the game was absolutely incredible, but I don't think we've had one of those since Black Ops 2. If you were to ask, now the jetpack era, I think we should have played AW the whole 3 years, but now it's like, I don't know. We've gone from World War II to like a cartoonish jetpacky game without jetpacks, and now we're basically in borderline like pure realism almost. That was Infinity Ward's intention of creating this game. But yeah, now it's weird. It's a really weird topic.
I think that, like you said, a reason that COD has had stuck around so long, even on the cusp or as like a solid B tier esport, like we're definitely not up there with the big dogs yet, but
we might be C.
Yeah, we're fringe, all right. It depends on the game. And honestly, it's the personalities that drive COD, and I think a lot of it with the game changing year to year showcases like a lot of Call of Duty pros adaptability, like how fast they can like get good at a new game or get to a level that's solid, or who can learn it the fastest, and it creates this ebb and flow into the entirety that is like the COD World League or whatever it is, where yeah, we had a super strong season, but the entire game changes and like your whole team is changing. And so now fans are super interested to see how everything plays out. And then like as the year goes on, that kind of like falls off, and then there's a final cap at champs, and then it's into the off season, and then it restarts again. So I think that drives a lot of the attention to Call of Duty. And in my opinion, if there was just a really good COD made by like, Treyarch or something, where they just updated it with new maps and guns and, kept it balanced throughout multiple years, then yeah, I could see that working, but it'll never happen just because they break records every year they sell Call of Duty.
It sells, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most popular game in North America for a reason, and it's just one of the things where it'll never happen. So like we've kind of given up on the idea of even like sticking around on one game, just because like the Activision is gonna throw a CDL and a champs with or without the pro players, and so we might as well be on board with it all and try to be symbiotic, which is hopefully what this franchising does, is takes a step in the right direction with us, the publisher, Activision, and the developers, whichever one it is.
So we dove a little bit to the past here. I kind of want to jump ahead in our last, few minutes that we have here to present time. So obviously, big year, first year of the franchising. I'm really curious. Does it feel any different to you guys before it's kicked off, or does it feel a little bit more of the same? I mean, we don't see a lot of promotional stuff, I feel like, just yet from Call of Duty.
And when he says a lot,
especially-
he means none.
Yeah, like especially in the game, right? There's like really not much mention of it, but yet we understand how much is riding on the franchising and how big this season, the inaugural season is. So does it feel any different for you guys?
I mean, we're not gonna say too much, but something we've been campaigning for
Don't
since
get
the
fined,
beginning
don't
of
get fined.
time is, an in-game viewer, which there was an in-game viewer and like promotion in-game for a lot of stuff, and that's something that we need. We need camos, we need playing cards, we need emblems. Like, you need to be able to buy something that has all logos and you can put it on your gun, and that just needs to be in the game.
Maybe not
Yeah.
Huntsman.
Like, yeah, well, I'm just saying.
Leave those out.
I try not to be biased. I try not to say us every time, but heavily biased. And so, like, you need to be able to do that. And I think that it's just a massive disconnect there, where eventually it's going to happen, and we keep getting told it's going to happen, and hopefully it does happen. Like, that's what the franchising does, hopefully, in essence. But we haven't seen much yet, and it doesn't really feel like anything's changed, other than I moved, and like we haven't started playing out of the offices yet, and we haven't started going to these little home events and stuff. So I genuinely think that like a lot of them it's going to be a lot different. It's not going to be a tournament like we were used to in the past. And I think once we start working out of office space every day, it will feel a lot different. But currently, we're just still playing from home.
Yeah, I mean, usually we would have had an event by now.
It's been a long off season.
Yeah, it has been a long off season. I mean, I think there'd be years where we wouldn't even have off seasons. So it was definitely kind of nice, and I definitely think the structure, in my opinion, is a little bit better than or how it is now. Is better than the league matches that they were saying.
With the new format, how they're doing like mini tournaments each week or each event.
I don't know what it is, but I'd rather have that. And I think shoot, is this public? The fact that not every team is going to every single one.
I think so.
Well, shit.
We won't say anything. We'll delete it.
Yeah, I think. Well, you guys cut this out, or hopefully maybe you put it out after. But I think with 8, the 8 out of 12 teams going to each one of these tournaments is going to provide some different results. Say the top 4 teams are not going to a single event, and I don't know how it works, or I think it was generated so. Everyone goes to the same amount of tournaments. Everyone plays, we don't play some team over and over and over and over at tournaments. But say like the top 4 teams aren't going to a tournament, you're going to get a winner that you would normally never see win a tournament. I think that part's cool. I also am kind of glad that we're not traveling as much. I don't think any player at all was looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for the next season.
You guys seen those Overwatch League travel schedules?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
They have to travel more than like an NFL team.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, murder me. That would suck.
For the London team, it's like 76,000 miles during the season.
Hey, all those air miles though.
That's what I was saying. At least they're going to be platinum by the end of the year. I'll tell you that.
No. I've already gotten one of those cards that has all those perks and stuff. Like, dude, I'm gonna be in the lounges all the time because I thought we were gonna be traveling pretty much every other weekend for 9 months.
Yeah,
which is what it was gonna be before.
Yeah,
to play one league match, and like we had it trimmed down to where we could like come in 24 hours before and leave 2 hours after our match. So we were only there like 26 hours, just like in and out. And I was like, dude, this is not gonna be good. Like, nobody's gonna enjoy this. But if that's what we gotta do, that's what we gotta do. So. Glad that they changed it, just because the tournament structure now is far better than one league match in random cities randomly. Right. All
right. Well, we are running close to your guys' time, so I want to respect that. I don't want to be put on the list. I'm going to respect your time. I don't need to be on any Dallas Empire unscheduled list here. So, thank you guys both for coming on. Best of luck in the season. Obviously, we'll be rooting for you. We'll see you at the Dallas event. We'll be there for sure. Before I let you go, we want to get liners from you guys. So if it's like, hey, you say your name and you're listening to the center ring.
All right.
Okay, Clay, you want to go?
You go.
All right. Hey, this is Ian Crimsix Porter, and you're listening to the center ring.
Excellent.
That was beautiful. That was like really good. That was really good.
That's a lot of pressure play.
You went for it, bro. God.
We got Mango when he was drunk, and so he completely butchered it when we had him do this. So that was solid. Kudos to you.
Let's go.
All right. Hey, this is James Clayster Eubanks, and you're listening to the center ring.
Beautiful. It's like y'all have done this before.
A couple times.
I'd say Porter's
Porter's is better, dude. I didn't have the bravado he had.
All right.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
No
Have
problem.
a good night.
Thank y'all.
Thanks,
Really
guys.
appreciate it.
Fuck the Packers.
Oh man, I feel bad.
Fuck the Packers.
Fuck the
Yes.
Bad for you, bro.
Fuck
I'm not
'em.
even gonna
Fuck
say
'em.
anything, dude. I just
Fuck
feel
'em.
bad.
All right, and again, a big thank you to Clayster and Crimsix from the Dallas Empire for coming on the show.
I really enjoyed that. That was, like I said, I mean, I felt like it was a real interview, and they got me, pretty amped up for CDL, although they seem to understand some of the flaws in how this is kind of organized right now. But they seem excited about the new tournament format, which really Call of Duty actually announced quite a bit of information on that today as well. But yeah, that was a fun time, and again, we're so appreciative of both of them taking the time that they did to come onto the show and just talk some.
We'll
just
definitely
talk
have to
Call
get
of
them
Duty
on
with us, Tim.
We'll have to get them on again because so again, the interview was about 40 minutes long. We really had them on for about an hour, but we had to delete some of it. We could have gone on for another hour.
Easy.
And it felt like they wanted to. So Clayster admitted that we are best friends. For all those listeners out there, for all you ringers out there that said I was lying, there's proof. How about my description of what an athlete is? The only thing I could think of during the X Games is like, yeah, athletes, they sweat.
They do.
Like, good
They
going.
do. I thought you were making a joke. So
Good
I
going,
went along
Tim.
with it.
Like, that's like, yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing separating like an X Game athlete to an esports athlete is sweating.
Sweat. Just a little bit of sweat.
Just some sweat. Just some
I
sweat.
think I've seen a little bit of sweat drip down Crims, when he gets into it. There's a couple of beads coming down the side over there.
Oh my god. And I knew it, like when I said it out loud, I was like, sweat. Let's get into some e-news.
Let's.
Man, a lot of CSGO happening right now. Renegades announced, and remember to connect the dots, Renegades, which is former Greyhounds,
Yep.
released Dick Stacy. Now I'm
That's
confused
sad,
on this.
man.
I don't really follow that. I don't follow the Australian scene as much. Is he just a crowd favorite? Is that why? Like,
Yeah,
it's a shock to me, but
he had a good run in his initial showings at the majors like a year and a half ago, and played well in some other tournaments, and obviously became a crowd favorite. His name is pretty infamous. He's a really fun Twitter follow as well. So yeah, I think just from sentimental value, obviously he hasn't played as well recently, and that's why this change was made. But all I know is if you don't have a Dick sticker, you better get one, because this is going to be like a contraband item in a couple of years. Like, he had some pretty good ones out there, so
yeah.
grab your Dick sticker before they're all gone.
I bet you any Dick Greyhound sticker probably goes for like $20-$30 right now. I remember when
Yeah.
Titan folded, I sold my Titan Major sticker for $40.
And that's like a steal now, just so you know. If you hung on to that even a little longer, those things are rare commodities.
$40 for a sticker back then. I was like, yeah, I'll sell that.
I'll take that.
I'll take that any day of the week. You want to read this next one?
Yeah, so North has already taken the Timmy Award for the best worst rebrand of the year. Tim, this whole thing was weird. Okay, so first they delete their Twitter history, completely blank it out, take out every acknowledgement, every new signing, every
Almost like they
tournament they've
were
won.
going out of business.
That's really what it seemed like. They deleted their photo and had like a stock AVI on there. So
All old videos on YouTube, the whole thing, everything
Gone.
gone.
gone. And then they come out with their rebrand. which looks like a stupid lion. You know,
Yeah.
like he's got this huge underbite.
If this was Monday, this would be Yikes of the Week.
You know what? And it's still, honestly, I might bring it back. Like,
Like
I don't think this is doing it enough
it could
justice just
still
to
live
give it
on.
like E news. But yeah, I mean, it's a ugly looking rebrand to me. Honestly, I think their last logo, although very similar, looked better. And then they came back and they even mentioned why they deleted everything. They said they only have like 0.3% of people that visit their page as like a revisit to a previous post or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like, we kind of wanted to start
My
fresh.
point,
Again,
what harm does leaving that stuff up though? You know? So what? You get a 0.3% return on it. What
it's your history though,
Yeah.
like so much of that is tied to it. And
for a
again,
new
all the
org, a young
announcement
org,
and
you
all
want that?
like it's kind of disrespectful to all the people that created the time to make all that content for you too,
Yeah.
right? Like I'd be a little pissed if I was like the video creator for North and they just deleted any remnants of all of my work for the past 3+ years, however long it's been. So
Especially for an org that, like, when you first started, you were actually pretty good.
yeah,
And then you've struggled as of late. You think you'd want to keep those glory days, but I guess not. We've already talked about the Katowice qualifiers and everything there. LDLC to form a new roster. Sad to report, Happy is out. Happy is now sad.
Happy is now sad, man, and this is I guess this is the prize that he gets for having the play of the decade. I mean, this is kind of your reward here. It's a little unfortunate.
Am I being a
timing, 'cause
fanboy by thinking Stewie got robbed?
I mean, Happy's Deagle Ace is pretty iconic too, though. I think Stewie's play, if you
Stewie's
count
won
the
them a
pressure that was tied to it, then yes. But I think it's just like an individual play, like a Deagle Ace, Banana, iconic. Like
Okay, so if you take the storyline out of it, Stewie
Yeah,
is
yeah,
nice,
we
but
can't
it's
count-
not.
because then if you don't add in, like, if we say major should mean more, it kind of makes everything else irrelevant. That was a very big play, and I think it was worthy. Plus, you know what, Happy is an amazing dude. We've gotten a chance to speak with him in the past, and so
Great guy.
definitely wish him all the best. On brighter news, a 14-year-old Tim, 14-year-old. I don't even want to know what you were doing at 14 years old, but this 14-year-old Ilya Osipov, also known as Munzi, out of Russia, is joining Navi Junior. And this kid is reportedly already in like he's already playing in like FPL. He's playing with some other small teams and performed well in Russian tournaments already. But I mean, 14, to me, that is absolutely incredible, because I think Counter-Strike is such a difficult sport to master at that kind of an age. Like, there's just a lot of depth to the game. So excited to see what his future holds. And again, that's on Navi Junior. He can't even officially compete in tournaments right now because of his age. I
Right.
think you gotta be
What is it in
16.
Counter-Strike? Is it
I think it's 16 over there.
Okay.
They're like 18 for E-League and all that, but that's because of TV
well, yeah,
rights
it's
and
Counter-Strike's not like
But-
yeah, it's just all.
stuff. I think it's like 16. So yeah,
That's
something to
crazy.
Keep an eye on. That's insane.
14, man. In Overwatch, another one is gone, as DOA officially announces he is departing from the league. He's not renewing his contract. Of course, he was the broadcast partner alongside Monty, who is no longer with it. I don't know how many other times you can skin this cat, right? Is it a concern? Yeah,
Yes.
it should definitely be noted. I guess you just gotta wait till see how the season goes, though, right? Like, was anyone tuning into the league just to watch these guys who have left?
No, but in your like what you would consider your most important year, this is not the time to be making budget cuts either. Like
No,
like I said, the
but-
talent that they have there's nothing wrong with the people that are remaining. It's just the ones that you let go are such big names. And Monty was there for more than just a broadcaster, and obviously felt his views weren't either taken seriously or weren't heard at all. So now DOA, I think that was kind of expected once Monty's departure was announced.
Yeah.
So,
But my thing is, like, this is not the first time talent disagreed with production and walked away from a project, right?
but it's the first time your top 3 people from a talent perspective, maybe 3 out of 4 if you count, Sifsoi is in 1, 2, or 3, right? But You don't usually
Zoe's
see
number
this
one,
kind of.
sir.
Okay, but you know what I mean. Like,
No, I
these are top
definitely watch for her.
These are top tier talent, all leaving at the same time. Very unusual. Especially
Unusual, not
when-
the end of the world.
Yeah.
Esports is a very odd thing. The one thing esports differs, and maybe this is like a talking point for a different episode, right? Maybe we could talk about this on Sunday with Jay from Envy as he joins us on Sunday. Like, esports puts their talent on a pedestal compared to like traditional sports. Like,
For sure.
you got your Joe Bucks and your Troy Aikmans and everyone loves them, but I don't think like they are play-by-play guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, esports treats their talent so differently. They view it so differently.
They're part of the entertainment in esports.
Yeah.
Right? Your Thorns, your Monis, these guys are also much more connected to the fan base through social media than your traditional sportscasters are, right? Although Troy Aikman is on social media, Tony Romo is obviously on social media, Joe Buck is on social media. They don't engage the fans the same way that you see esports casters involved, right? Your Mavens and all of these guys in general. They're a lot more visible. So yeah, the relationship there is different, but I think deservedly so because it feels different. I feel a lot closer to them in terms of our communication without knowing them than I do with like Troy.
Right. And yeah, I mean, like Zen in chat goes, traditional sports people follow teams, esports people follow players. That, yes, especially when it comes to like a team sport, but I mean, there are traditional, like NASCAR or tennis, like you still are just following players on those sports. It's not like
Golf or something.
Yeah, golf, you're following a specific player. It's not completely out of the realm of having traditional. So
a lot of times these guys
know.
are also former players themselves,
Right.
and things of that sort. So
it's just that's always stood out to me. So maybe we can actually like dive into it at some point.
yeah. Now this is pretty crazy to me, Tim. This next story: Faker reportedly turned down 10 million. Plus additional, like they said that there was pretty much a blank check on the table for him for what his yearly salary would be to leave South Korea. Now, this Faker, League of Legends, a Hall of Famer, champion. I mean, anything you want to put behind him, it's there. He's been the face of League of Legends for several years now. Hasn't seen a lot of success recently, but I can see why somebody is willing to shell out the cash to build a brand
It's a
elsewhere.
Joke.
In other news, Call of Duty
He
League
saved those orgs 10 million.
Well, yeah, he definitely did. Call of Duty League announced their 2020 season like CDL point system for the home series tournament structure. We're not going to really dive into that right now, but just know that it is available. It tells you a number of points for 1st through 8th place, basically, at these events. Again, only 8 out of the 12 teams will be attending.
We'll
but-
figure that out as the season goes.
Yeah,
It
and then
seems
the
really boring to
challenger-
break down.
It is, yeah. So we
Like,
won't go
I'll
into that.
go
And
read it if you care.
they gave it out along with the Challenger Series info. So for those of you that are trying to become future pros, that's probably pretty important to go check out for yourselves.
And in other news, Philadelphia Union of the EMLS, which is the MLS, Major League Soccer's FIFA league, signed former Super Bowl champion and former Eagle, Philadelphia Eagle. I'm going to mispronounce the name. Jay
Ajay.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. I didn't know EMLS was a thing, so that's also kind of neat.
See, maybe it's because I produced a soccer show. I knew that, right? But
yeah.
no,
No
it's
clue.
about
So,
2
yeah.
or 3 years old now.
Neat on both fronts for me. So,
Now, if you think soccer's not popular here in America, talk about e-soccer. There you go. Blizzard and ESL DreamHack sign Pro League deal for StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 Reforged. In other breaking news, Heroes of the Storm is like, what the hell, guys?
This is like a really big announcement, actually, and I think
That's
this could
huge.
even be, great for us. More content, more to talk about, more esports. Like, love it. But StarCraft 2 has been a community that's been so loyal and has not seen much of any support from Blizzard from an esports standpoint, right? I think this kind of propels them back onto the main stage as a good, solid B tier esport, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And then bringing in Warcraft 3, like for those of you that don't remember, Warcraft 3 was one of the OGs in esports, right? It was one of the really the original esports out there. And so for both of these, I'm quite excited because I don't watch a lot, but I know both the games fairly well. And so I think this is an opportunity for both of them to get into the spotlight and, again, bring more people into this community that's
Yeah. Man, I used to be so into StarCraft. We've talked about before. Never really Warcraft. I don't know why. I just never did. I just gravitated towards StarCraft. And I'm really excited for this. This is maybe again we hold off a little bit to talk about it on Sunday for Monday's show because the lead is cool, right? The headline is StarCraft and Warcraft are finally getting some love again. The story in this though is Blizzard is relinquishing control to other people. Like that right there, Blizzard is so protective of their product. And, you know, we go to DreamHack all the time when it comes around town, and they do have StarCraft there, but even I've talked to people, that is still pretty strictly ran by Blizzard. So for them to just kind of sign this deal and say, hey, you guys kind of handle this.
this is a good move.
Yeah.
For Blizzard. I don't think Blizzard, cares to do the work that ESL and DreamHack will do for these events. So
yeah.
This is great.
I did chuckle though, because you know that there are some Heroes of the Storm fanboys thinking like, really?
Seriously, guys?
Really, guys? Like, you completely abandoned our game? You couldn't have just signed us on? Like, you abandoned your pro league and just not letting anyone else pick this up? Like, okay.
So you couldn't have thrown us into the deal? Like, just
right.
like
a
here,
side
go ahead.
stage? I don't know.
You take StarCraft 2 and Warcraft, here, we're going to give you Heroes of the Storm as a DLC.
Ah, funny stuff. And in Rainbow Six, their pro league kicked off. I've won money already off of it, so
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, evil geniuses. And Rogue is making their appearance back. So I think that just about does it. Again, thank you for tuning in. That will be episode 203. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. If you skipped around or listened to the whole darn thing, appreciate it. Again, thank you so much to Clayster and Crimsix for coming on the show. We'll have to get you guys on again sometime soon, or maybe when Dallas comes by here in a couple of months. I think next month is the Dallas homestand for CDL, whatever they're calling it for that league. So we'll definitely have to get them on. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. We will be back Sunday night for Monday's episode, so you can tune in live on Twitch. We are going to have Jay on from Envy, their social media coordinator and good friend of the show. We'll have to tell the story about... I'm going to blame him for getting us kicked out of the owner's box at BlizzCon. 100% his fault. So we'll talk about that. That will be Sunday night. Until then, hit us up in Discord. We're always around. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see you.